I love parables. My brain works in parables. And maybe it's because I grew up with the teachings of Jesus, who always taught in parables. And yet they make sense for me. They give me a container to hold learning, for life principles to just stick. And one of the parables that I love, and the principle from Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, is this idea of sharpening your saw. It's such a great analogy, which is, instead of spending all of your time, grinding at whatever it is that you're trying to knock down, whatever goal that is or bad habit you're trying to break, it's important to slow down, take time, and sharpen your saw. And I had this aha today, like, what if instead of sharpening your saw, trying to do things more efficiently, what if you focused on doing things more effectively and moving from a place of efficiency to effectiveness? Let me tell you what I mean here. Someone could say, well, why don't you, instead of sharpen your saw, why don't you get a saw that's 10 times bigger? And then it would be so much less work. And then I thought, well, what's better than a saw? How about a laser? If you had a laser that could just cut through that tree and take it down in one fell swoop, that would be incredible. So instead of sharpening your saw or even getting a bigger saw, what if there's an even more effective way to do this? And it's a different strategy or a different tool altogether. So I'm going to invite you, who have already learned how to sharpen your saws, to ask yourself, is the saw the right tool? Is this really what I need right here in this moment? And it's not about doing things the best, right, efficiently. It's about doing the best things. I love coaching and working with young adults. I have a young man that I've been mentoring now for about 2 years, and I've actually brought him on as an intern. He's doing digital marketing within my business, and he's phenomenal. He's so hungry. He's just driven to excel in his career. And he's also humble. He's willing to learn and be corrected and just put himself in front of people that are willing to help him. He's so humble. He's hungry, he's humble, and he's smart. Yes, intellectually smart, but he's also has emotional smarts, emotional quotient, we call it EQ. He is able to connect with and understand other people. He has an emotional intelligence. And he said that when we started working together, he thought of all the things he wanted to accomplish in his life. And he saw it like this ladder that he had to build to get himself to the moon. And he told me, he said, Andrew, I realized that I don't have to build this ladder. In fact, I don't even have to do the ladder at all. And building an efficient ladder is not an effective way to get to the moon. He said, what I've learned is when I have the right people who have already gone to the moon, I just have to figure out how to get invited into their rocket ship. And then we can get to the moon via rocket rather than having to build that ladder. And I just loved his insight there, a powerful principle of not how do I get there, but who do I go with that will help me figure out how to get there. And then I took the analogy one step further with him, and I said, what if instead of a rocket ship, what if we could just teleport ourselves to the moon? Wouldn't that be better? And he laughed and he said, you always take things to the next level. And I said, yeah, because if there's a more effective way that we can be doing something, why not do it like that? Now, if you 100% love building a ladder, I'm not going to tell you to stop. And maybe that's what is bringing joy to your soul right now. Or if rocket ship is super cool for you, I'm not saying that, there's never this, like it's never enough, right? Like you don't have to teleport yourself to the moon unless you want to. And if you want to do something, I give you permission to do it. And instead of looking at how can I do things more efficiently, right? How can I squeeze more out of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every quarter of every year, I invite you to sometimes to just, stop what you're doing. Don't just do something, sit there. Have you ever heard that said before? I don't know who said it or where I heard it for the first time, but it's that play on, instead of what we would say to maybe a lazy worker or child, like, don't just sit there, do something. The flip side of that is, don't just do something, sit there. Is what I'm about to do most effective in getting me what I want most? Because if you efficiently do something that's not effective, then you're really just wasting your energy. You're wasting your talents. You're wasting the time that you have been given. So I invite you to stop sharpening the saw and ask, is this what I really need right now? Or is there something else? One of the ways that I've been able to do that is twofold. Taking action helps you understand what actions to stop taking. Sometimes we don't know until we do it. Jesus taught, if any man will do his will, he shall know of the doctrine, whether it be of God or whether I speak of myself. And so sometimes we don't know what's right or wrong or what's effective or ineffective until we actually start going. And we're mostly not going to just have some big revelation. We're going to figure it out on our way. And that's what's happening with this young man in his life, in his career. He said to me, Andrew, he said, I just had this aha. I realized that instead of, waiting until I'm in my 40s or early 50s to have accomplished everything I want to accomplish, which would be 20 to 30 years from now, he said, I think I can do it in the next 2 to 3 years. And so I asked him, who do you need to be in a relationship with? And how can you help them get what they want? That will help you get what you want. And then his mind just started rolling. And he started telling me about the people that he's already in relationship with. And I asked him, what is it that they want? And can you help them get what they want in the next 2 to 3 years? So that by doing, you can be where you had thought you would be in 20 to 30 years. And he just got it. It clicked. He knew exactly who he needed to help and what he had to offer. That is effective. He could have efficiently spent 20 to 30 years growing into that ladder to the moon of his personal and career goals. But when he identified the who's and what was most important to them, then the how is simple. We all have unique gifts. We all have abilities and things we have to offer others. They are praying for those things and waiting for an answer to show up. And we can be that answer. And when we align those things that they have with what we have and what they want with what we want, then we collaborate and we create something far greater than anything we'd ever thought of before. I just love that. I love that principle of effectiveness, of collaboration and creation. And sometimes we don't know until we are taking action and doing those things. We don't know it's the wrong road until we sometimes hit the dead end. And then we know for certain to never go down that road again. And so it takes action. And don't be frustrated with yourself if you keep hitting dead ends. Sometimes that's what it takes. Give yourself some grace and realize that you're learning exactly what not to do and what's not effective. And you're not going to have all of this figured out today. It's going to take a process, right? It's going to take time, and it's going to take failures and learnings and lessons. And so just be patient. Be patient with that process and realize that sometimes taking action is the best way to find out what not to do. So that's my first thought, is taking action. The second is, again, who? Who is it that has been down that road? Maybe I don't have to hit the dead end first. I can find out from others. What's it like down there? And you can begin asking questions of other people. You can stand on the shoulders of giants, as it's been said, and you can see further. Not because you're bigger, but because you were smart enough to ask for a perspective that you didn't have. So I invite you to look at your life right now. And as you identify one or two of the most important priorities, I'm guessing that you are striving for efficiency. And I would invite you to ask, is this effective? Is this priority really helping me move toward my ultimate goal right now in my life? Now, I'm not saying that you need to stop all together, but maybe we just need to shift priorities. And maybe we need to put additional effort and energy into a more effective priority. Here's an example. About 4 or 5 years ago from the time of this recording, so it would have been the year 2020, 2021, 2019, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic hit, I found myself hitting a ceiling of achievement and feeling really frustrated. I talk about it in my book, and I call it the lesson of $1,000 and the golden goose. Why $1,000? Well, my wife and I got into an argument. It was mostly my fault. I take 100% blame over something that really only cost about $1,000. It was a trip we were planning with family members, and I was being not abundant, very scarce-minded, and I was wanting to save the extra $1,000 for where we were going to be staying on this family trip. And I ended up making a big mistake and getting myself into a place of frustration. And I walked up out of our living room off the couch and I slammed my iPhone onto the granite countertop and it shattered it. It didn't just shatter it, it obliterated it. And it ended up costing me $1,000 to replace. So I called my good friend and mentor, Kevin Hall, and I told him what had happened. I said, can you, from your perspective, he's about 30 plus years older than me, and he's learned things that I haven't learned yet. I said, can you help me identify what's going on here? And then he told me the parable of the golden goose. It's Aesop's fable. And if you haven't heard the fable, it goes like this. There's a man who has a golden goose, and every day that golden goose lays an egg. And he takes that golden egg into the market and he exchanges it either for money so he can buy something that he wants or for something valuable that just lights his heart on fire. And he did this day after day after day, and he loved this golden goose until he got a little bit impatient. And he said to the golden goose, I know how many eggs are in there. You lay one a day. I want all of those eggs now. And in his greed, he cut open that golden goose to get all the eggs. And he killed the golden goose. After recounting the story to me, Kevin said, Andrew, you are the golden goose. You lay the golden eggs. You show up as a husband and a father and as a coach and as a neighbor and as a member of your church and community, and you are there to serve and give and love and help others get what they want, just like that golden goose. But you're killing yourself. He said, you're not taking care of the goose. And he said, I want you to start a new business, and you're going to call it Andrew Inc. And I want you to build out a business plan of how you're going to take care of the golden goose yourself. And my mind knew exactly what to do. I help people build business plans all the time. So I went home that day and I created a one-page plan for how I was going to take care of me. And I did that for about 4 years. And it was recently where I realized, oh my gosh, my goose, right? Me, I'm taking care of me. And I don't need to make that a priority because these things have become habitual now. And so I just started thinking, okay, what's the most effective means for me to move toward my life mission now that I have taken care of me? And so I reordered my priorities and I started to put the first things first. And I realized that I may be able to sacrifice some time and energy from myself that I can now give to others. Not in a manner that's going to kill the golden goose, but in a manner that will allow me to help others take care of themselves as the golden goose. And so I switched up some of those priorities. I don't need to sharpen that saw anymore. It's relatively sharp. I need to keep it sharp, but I need to now help others do the same. So I invite you, if your saw is already sharp, figure out, do I really need to efficiently do this better? Or is there something else I could be doing that's best? And as you identify what those things are, you can teleport yourself from where you believe you could be, and you can bring that to the now. And it doesn't have to take years and years and years of efficiency and continuing to sharpen that saw. You can get a new saw, or you can get a laser. I recommend the laser. If you need help unpacking some of this, or you want to have some further support and accountability for you, then let's talk. I'm all about helping people get what they want. It was Zig Ziglar who said, you can have anything you want in this life if you just help enough people get what they want. And that's what fills my cup. I'd love to help fill yours too.